That's new. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Angel Heart Radio. It's always my delight to be with you. I'm Annette McCoy, and with me today is Chiara Sharp. A blast from the past, Chiara.
Yes. How long has it been? So long.
It's been a long, long time. I'm always delighted when you are able to come back onto Angel Heart Radio because you have an important message, which we will get to in a moment. Everybody, may I remind you that these shows should never replace your legal, medical, nor professional advice, nor your own sound judgment. If you happen to be watching this anywhere else but on the Angel Heart Radio Facebook page, may I suggest that you go across there, because then you can join in our conversation and you can ask questions. And I always find it really wonderful when people join in. And I know, Chiara, you feel the same way. You like to be interactive with your audience.
Definitely, yes.
So everybody, as I play around here, it's really interesting how as Chiara and I were just saying, everybody, modern technology, it's wonderful. And what we learn to do. And a lot of the time, Chiara, aren't we? We're learning as we go. It's like, whoa, yeah.
Absolutely, yes. Oh, definitely. Like live streaming into a Facebook group. Who would have been doing that a year ago, or a year ago, I think even. Am I right? I don't know, but.
Yes, yeah. It's when I think like,
wonderful.
Let's go back just for a very, very quick moment. You and I started out on Angel Heart Radio with Blog Talk Radio, and we thought that that was just amazing because we could speak to the world. And it was at the time, I guess, the same as people when telephones were first introduced into the home, and you didn't have to go to a phone box. Technology is just making the world a smaller place all the time.
Yeah, I love it. It's really important that we move with the times and that we take on the new ways to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's wonderful. Yeah.
It is. It is.
And look at how many more people we reach on this platform. Excuse me,
Well, that's right. I think, that's how I was drawn to you at the moment through the Facebook post that you put up literally a week ago, talking about this very topic. In our environment is our looking glass. And I went, yes, that's because how often does something that somebody else does, right, either impress us or we might go, ugh. And I've learned that that's because it's something in me that I can see reflected in somebody else.
Yeah. Everything's a mirror of how we see ourselves. I've been teaching this form of work for many, many, many years. And now what I've come to really know without a shadow of a doubt is that self-image is key. Self-image is key to living a life that we truly want and getting the results that we want in life. Our self-image and the way we see ourselves determines everything. So, and that's what that means. It's like, environment, everything around us, everyone around us is a demonstration of how we see us.
Right.
We have two images, actually. We have two images. We have our inner self-image, how we really see us, and the self-image or the image we project out in the world. And we can, be like we're super confident and, know what we're doing and put on this persona out there. However, if we don't truly feel that in ourselves, if we don't feel that confidence in ourselves, we won't actually achieve the results that we want, that we've put out there, I hope that makes sense, but it's
does.
about how we feel about ourselves determines everything. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we can put on that mask. And yes, to our own detriment. It's really important that how we feel inside is what we're projecting outward.
Very much. Very, very much. So, you know, with the work that I do now, I'm a Proctor Gallagher consultant. I work with Bob Proctor. And one of the lessons in one of the programs I run is all about self-image. It's a deep dive into really understanding how powerful it is. And I just want to read you something. The image you hold of yourself literally controls the temperature of your life.
That's a powerful statement.
Oh, really? Really, it's life-changing words if you allow them to be. Literally controls the temperature of your life.
And I wonder how many of us are unaware of that at the moment. No, we're involved in our lives, we've got our families, whatever our activities might be, or maybe we don't have activities. But how often do we really stop and question, am I in the right place? Am I getting the best that I can out of myself and therefore my world? And how often do we stop to consider that, yes, we are it? That if we feel that we're having a really yuck time, how often do we look at ourselves for it? Or it's so much easier to point the finger and blame the situation or maybe another person.
Yeah, I believe that there aren't, how do I say this? I think the majority of people on the planet aren't aware of this. And that's why this work is important. That's why what I do, what you do, you know, what we do is important because it's getting the message out there that people have more control over their lives than they think. Certainly the work that I do is all about really educating people about their mind and just having them know that their thoughts create everything, and their image, how they see themselves, creates the results that they want. And you're right, like it's so easy to blame outside circumstances, blame other people for where we're at, but in actual fact, we create it. We create it. We create it through our thinking, and ultimately our thinking affects our vibration, and our vibration emanates out, and we get back the result of that. And so it starts with our thinking and essentially what we think about us.
And
just
this is
having
the
that knowing, just having that knowing is freeing.
Yeah.
You know, it is. It's very freeing. Once you want to take responsibility of it, you can actually do something about it. You can actually change your circumstances through knowing that you have control, that we have control.
What I like about your work, Chiara, you're working from your own experience. You've been led along, so you're walking the talk. And I think because so often it can be really easy. We can sit here and we can wax lyrical. However, it's far more powerful when people can see that, yes, we're walking the talk. We're not just talking mumbo jumbo. We're speaking from our heart and we're speaking from experience.
Yeah. And it's a study. It's a self-study. You know, I study me every day. It's important that we study ourselves, that we get to know us intimately so that we can really, well, number one, discover what it is that we truly want. Like, how many people actually ask themselves, what do I want? And self-image will either allow you to do that or not. The way we
Mm.
see ourselves will either allow us to delve and indulge in what it is that we want and actually go for it or not.
Mm.
So every time I speak about anything related to this work, it always comes back to self-image.
Mm-hmm.
Key.
Now, I know that we're all on pathways, and sometimes we're aware of where we're going and sometimes we're not. The more aware we are of where we're going and the more we trust, the easier it can become. Now, I'm wondering if you would be happy to share that your experiences over the last 12 months or so, because you were living with your gorgeous husband, Daniel, in New York very happily. You came home to Melbourne for a visit, which you were doing on a regular basis for business, as well as catching up with friends and family. And boom, boom. I guess when you came home, you had no idea that you had said goodbye to New York in the short term.
No, but it's really interesting that you say those words just now, Annette, because I often share when I'm in that kind of conversation about New York and leaving, I recall vividly the night before. Our intuition is one of our higher faculties, and that is something that, some of us operate with at a very high level of intuition, and we follow it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yep. It's the night before I went shopping to get a few things before flying to Australia. This was back in February last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember walking down, and you know this, New York. I was walking up 57th Street to go to Whole Foods, and it was nighttime, and, the buildings were lit up, and a typical New York evening. It was winter, it was cold, it was beautiful. And I'm walking up towards Whole Foods, and I had this moment where I looked up the street, all the buildings, all the lights, and I felt this, how do I say it? Sadness at feeling as though it was the last time I was going to walk that street.
Wow.
And I'd traveled back to Australia 4 or 5 times previous over the few years that we were living in New York. So I'd come back to Australia several times and never felt that. But this one night I felt it, and I kind of shook it off. I thought, I don't know where that came from. Don't know. I'm just going for 5 weeks. And then I let it go. And I remember that vividly. And I referred to it a few weeks later when, of course, Daniel had come back to Australia a couple of times in that time. And when I was due to go back March 19, and he called me on March 16 saying, the schools have closed. I don't know when I'm going back to work. Should you come back here, or should I come back to Australia? I think I should just come home. And immediately I said, just come back. We'll deal with it. Come back to Australia. So I cancelled my flights and everything. But in that moment, I had that recollection of walking down 57th Street and thinking, I had that sense,
Right.
And, and that was it. And then, he came back, everything unfolded. We couldn't leave the country again. Everything went into lockdown. But we fell on our feet. Like, we just flowed with it. We went with the flow, and everything went and is very, very well. We're where we're meant to be. We went through some grieving. Like, I went through some grieving as well, because I never went back to New York. There wasn't the closure, but we settled everything from here, our apartment and everything else. We had beautiful friends there that put things together and sent them back here eventually. But, we just had no choice but to go with it. And certainly this work that I do, the study every day, it certainly kept our vibration high and had us land on our feet every day. And here we are, a year a year and a bit later,
Mm-hmm.
living in Australia and, you know, having beautiful memories of New York.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
I like the fact that you certainly live in the moment.
Mm.
And that's another key, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
yes, it's important to have things to look forward to, and we can look back with you. I notice how you're thinking of New York, and I know in this last year or so, it's been wonderful to relive travels that I've had. You know, some show will come on TV and I'll be, and I give gratitude for all of the travel, all of the experiences I've had until now, and all of the experiences that will I have in the future. However, today is the moment.
Yes. Yes. And that's exactly key. Like you said, you know, and you look forward to having them in the future. We will have them in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And all we have to do is keep that vision alive. And the gratitude is key. Gratitude. If you're grateful for everything that you have and everything that you've had, there's room for more. You know, it attracts more of the same.
Yes.
So, you know, it's really important. Yes. And we must live in the moment. We must live in the moment. Mm.
Now you're working with Bob Proctor.
Mm. Yeah. Yes.
He's a name that is rather big, shall we say, in some circles. I'm sure some of our audience, though, might not have heard of Bob Proctor and the important work that he does.
Yes. Yes. He is a self-development and mindset expert in the world. He's been doing it for 60 years, and many people might know him from The Secret. That's where a lot of people know him from. And but you know, he's right up there with, you know, Deepak Chopra, Louise Hay, Abraham Hicks. Like, you know, he's very well known amongst circles, and there are other people who don't know who he is. However, you know, his programs are paramount, and I run a 6-month program called Thinking into Results. So it's based on all of the materials that he teaches, and it's actually from I was just doing some study with a client this morning. It's actually a program that was based on the book Think and Grow Rich, so by Napoleon Hill. So the 6-month program is really based on the foundation of Think and Grow Rich. And it's really just about having people achieve the results that they want through understanding the power of the mind,
Right.
and utilizing it.
Now, if people are interested, maybe they've tuned in this morning for the first time. I always smile when someone said, "Oh, I just happened to find you." It's like, "Oh, really? Yes, you were led. You might not be aware of it, but yes, you are led." So if people are interested, Chiara, in getting in contact with you, I know there are several ways. They can reach out to you via Facebook. Your email address is Chiara and Daniel. Now that's 3 words running together. So there's a double A and there's a double D. Chiara and Daniel @gmail.com.
Yeah. Or they can find me as Chiara Sharp on Facebook. Yeah. So you can message me that way or add me as a friend and reach out. But yes, that's that. But you know what I just had a thought of, Annette, that, you know, the way you and I met many years ago, and I had my own show on Blog Talk Radio. Yes. And it was, you know, very much founded on, you know, universal guidance and the signs. And the minute you put something out there, like pretty much what we're talking about, environment is but our looking glass. As we put a thought out there, or I would like that, it shows up, you know. And, you know, I wrote a book on that, and you know, now fast forward, you thought of me last week, and then you see my post and see that was the conversation around what we're talking about this morning. And I just love the way when you're in the moment and present, like you
Mhm.
said earlier, it's just, you're in the right place at the right time. And it's important that you follow those urges and, abide to the guidance.
Because the guidance is there. Quite often we might not see that. I smile, and I know a lot in the audience are well aware that I have moved, and I had no intention. I was adamant I was not coming into the village that I'm living in now. And I came up to honour a commitment to the lady who was the saleswoman. Anyway, the universe doesn't mind how it gets us somewhere. If we're meant to be somewhere, it'll make sure that that's where we are. And I am so happy. It's incredible. So we really do need to tune in, don't we? And then, if we find ourselves somewhere where we're not expecting to be able to look at it and go, oh wow, the universe made sure that I was there. I am quite often, I think, well, dumbstruck, is that the word? Just amazed at how life works out, especially when we allow it and act on it. The trust is so important. Working out, what is it that I would like? And then, as you have found, like, you didn't expect to be back in Australia, permanently at the moment, and yet, so permanent for the moment, and yet here you are, and life couldn't be better.
Yeah, and it's funny you should say that, because, like, you didn't expect to be living where you're living. We didn't expect to be back here. But I remember, for about 6 months or so, or a little bit longer, Dan and I had been living in New York, and we would sit on our rooftop and I would talk about it incessantly and envisage us living on the ocean, like with an ocean view. And we thought it would be California. We were going to make a sea change and go to California. But instead, we're living with an ocean view here in Australia. It's like, don't be attached to where, just see where it is that you want to be, the outlook, all of the environment that you want, see it in your mind, and then life will guide you there. And, and California might still happen. However, the next logical step was Australia. And thankful that it all worked out that way and that we followed our urges, because if we were in New York, we may not have been able to get back here or whatever. Like, we don't entertain the what ifs really, but I know that we were guided through my envisioning and through our desires, both Dan and I. This is where we ended up, and it's all perfect. We still have our ocean view, just it's in Australia. And wow, Australia have the best oceans, don't they? The ocean view aspects in Australia are amazing. So who's complaining? Nobody. No one.
And that's, again, the gratitude. I know I speak of gratitude all the time. It's so important, because there's so much in our lives that we can take for granted until it's not there. And then, but to be able to be grateful for it along the way is really important.
Yeah, gratitude is so key. It's such a beautiful way to live. I mean, if you simply practice gratitude every day, grateful for what we have, grateful for what we've done, and also grateful for the things that we want, like they're already done. That's a really powerful way to manifest. Like, it's almost like stepping out into your future and being grateful for that. And, it's powerful. But gratitude's key.
Yes. I like the way you mentioned the future, because it's easy to be, easier to be grateful for what we've had in the past or what we've got today. However, yes, to look forward and go, wow, yes, I'm grateful for, boom, boom.
Yeah, really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really beautiful. The other thing I wanted to mention, so this is another book, just in case your listeners or your viewers want to know more about the power of self-image, and that we have a cybernetic system in us, just like an airplane has it, just like an air conditioner has a cybernetic system. It brings things back on track. We too have a cybernetic system. Our self-image is the cybernetic system. So Maxwell Maltz wrote this book. If anyone's interested and really wanting to delve into the power of our self-image, this is amazing, this book. So I thought I'd share
Chiara, we can help other people. I like also the way that you're saying that you study, because yes, we can help other people. It's also important that we help ourselves, because we learn every day, whether we're aware of it or not.
Yeah. And a big part of why I study is because if I'm studying myself, I'm raising my vibration. I'm changing my mindset. I'm discovering what it is that I want, and I'm attracting that to me. And when you come from a place of self-study, you care about yourself more, and you naturally care about others more as well. And you can give more when you give yourself that self-study time. So, you know, especially the last 2 years working with the Proctor Gallagher Institute, I study every day. I can't do this work and I can't be of value to others and my clients if I'm not studying this material every day. It's like going to the gym and working out and wanting, you know, an ultimate level of fitness and well-being in your body. You go to the gym, for example. This work, self-study, has you exercise the muscle of your mind and really create what it is that you want for your life and what you want for others ultimately, and the difference you can make in the world. So that's where study is really important. And yes, you know, like you said, we can help others, but the biggest and greatest way we can do that is through helping ourselves and studying ourselves. And then lo and behold, we attract those situations, those people, those clients to us because we've studied us and we've worked on us.
Yeah. And looking after ourselves, so often, especially people who like to give, we can give, and sometimes we fail to realize that by giving so much, we're actually depleting ourselves. And it's really important that we look after ourselves first, because as you have just said, when we look after ourselves, then we can look after others. Whereas if we deplete ourselves, well, then we're no help to ourselves, and we're unable to help others the way we would like to.
Yeah. And that's something that I've had to really work with and practice, is giving myself some, you know, time to nurture myself, because I love what I do. It's hard to stop. However, it is work. It is contributing to others. It is assisting others. It takes energy. And so if we don't give that energy back to us and look after ourselves, we end up being depleted, overwhelmed, you know, stressed. And it's like, hang on a minute. No, this isn't what it's all about. I love what I do. I'm feeling this because I need to give more to me right now. And so it's really important to give ourselves that time, even if it's half an hour a day, you know. And I find that, you know, if things slow down for me in a particular area that I'm trying to grow, just giving myself a day kind of brings everything back into balance and things start to move forward again. So it's always us. Everything starts with us. If things slow down, it's because of us. If things fasten, it's because of us. So it's really, again, we've always got to come back and see what we're doing, what we're thinking to create whatever's happening.
Chiara, you mentioned a 6-month course that you run. I sense that you also do shorter work. You're happy to work one-on-one, and maybe do you do workshops as well?
Yeah, I do. Currently, what I do is the 6-month Thinking into Results program. I can do that over 3 months, depending on how fast a client would like to do that. I do it with individuals and teams. And also I do an 8-week, an 8-week Magic in Your Mind program. It is a Proctor Gallagher program, and I've chosen to run that over 8 weeks at this point, and I'm currently running one. It's a beautiful, it's the perfect title, because what it does is it has you access the magic and the power of your higher faculties. You can do it on your own over 6 weeks, but I'm choosing to facilitate it over 8 so that I can mentor the participants. And there's, the work to do every day, which is truly delicious. And what you're doing is you're building and developing your higher faculties. So the faculty of the imagination, the will, reason, perception, intuition, and memory.
Wow.
And it is so delicious. And that's really the Thinking into Results program houses the study of these faculties all the way through the program. And the Magic in Your Mind program is essentially just a laser focused study of the higher faculties. So it's a beautiful way to bring yourself into this work as well. So I do the Thinking into Results. I do the Magic in Your Mind. Happy to do one-on-one sessions as well. Yeah. And I also have a young living essential oils team where we're sharing the beautiful frequency of the oils too.
Well, your work is all encompassing. If people would like to reach out, of course, we've mentioned Facebook already, and your email address, Chiara, let's start again. CHIARA and AND, Daniel, DANIEL @gmail.com. So I'm trusting that people are tuning in and going, oh, why am I doing this morning? Voila.
It's beautiful.
And
it's such a beautiful thing to do, to just come in and have a conversation with you. And I don't even remember if we did this while I was living in New York, and it's been 7 years since I lived here. So it's been delicious. And of course we caught up in New York.
We certainly did. And if I remember correctly, we did a show about 18 months ago. If you would, I don't know that you were doing this work then.
No. I don't think I was. I was doing other alignment. I was an alignment coach doing similar work, but not working as a Proctor Gallagher consultant. No.
Right.
Yeah.
It is interesting. We've talked along the way about our pathways, and to be able to reflect on our own lives and see the steps. We might have done something 20, 30, like 50 years ago that has helped us in where we are today. We're learning all the time. It fascinates me about seeing the experiences that I've had and where they've led to thus far.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And just the people that you meet along the way, the connection, it's truly magical. Life is really magical.
It certainly is.
You know, and the more you look on it like that, the more magic happens.
So what can we say to people who might be really feeling, I mean, especially throughout the world, we've certainly had a challenging, well, good year or so, going on to 18 months, and we're in places that we never expected to be. However, where I always say to people, desiderata, I love it, and the fact that even though life might appear chaotic, it's actually perfect, where it's all as it is meant to be.
Yes, it truly is. So what I would say to people, I'm gathering that this is the question you're wanting me to just say, what advice I can give to those people who are maybe getting caught up in what's happening in the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you mean?
Yes, yeah.
I would just say, sorry, go on.
So even in their own lives, sometimes we cannot see above the hole we've dug for ourselves.
Yeah. So I would say to anybody, if anyone was, working with me and had that issue, I would just have them come back to themselves and breathe and really tune into themselves and bring themselves back to what's important to them. And I know that sometimes that can be hard when people are caregivers, mums looking after the elderly, or always out there looking after others. And oftentimes they don't look after themselves. But the key is to actually come back to yourself. It's actually vital that you come back to yourself. And the minute you give yourself some time to just be, to just see what it is that's important to you, to go for a walk, to listen to some music, to have a hot bath, to meditate, whatever it is, to practice gratitude, to just sit down and write 10 things that you're grateful for and get present to all that you're grateful for in life. Every single one of us has got something to be grateful for. It's just whether or not you bring your mind to that you're grateful for. But I would always say you need to come back to you. You're getting caught up in everything else that's going on around you. You need to come back to you and, what is it that you want? And do something that feels good. Do something that feels good for you. Even if it's for half an hour, it makes a massive difference to how you then deal with the goings-ons around you. And oftentimes when you bring balance to yourself in that way, everything else around you magically settles as well, or shows up differently, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Which shows you, again, what we've been saying is that it's all about us. It's all about how the vibration that we're carrying, how we're feeling. So the most important thing you could do is just do something that feels good. That would be my answer, my response, my suggestion.
Thank you. Thank you. Chiara, it has been an absolute delight, and I trust that it has been for our audience, because that's the beauty of technology. Yes, I'm sure we've had a live audience. The thing is, people will be watching down the track as well. I think it's wonderful that we can put it out there and say, hey, listen, here was the show. What do you, maybe it'll ignite something in people and encourage people to look at themselves and their own world, their own environment, and what is it that pleases me about my environment? What am I grateful for? And then, okay, maybe, it is up to me.
Can I just add there, I just want to let everybody know, wherever they're at, is that we were all born for joy and love, and to experience that in our lives. If we're not experiencing that, then something's out of kilter inside of us. We're out of balance. we've lost sight of that knowing. And it's really important to know that if you're here on earth in physical form, you are here for greatness. Whatever that is in your world, whatever that is that you're here to do, you're here to do it. And it doesn't mean you need to be talking on a world stage. I'm not talking about that. And if it is, fantastic, do it. But, you know, it's about being happy within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not, then just know that it just means you're out of alignment and you need to come back to discover what it is that you want for you. It can be done in a simple shift.
Thank you, Chiara. It's interesting that you say that, because I'm sure sometimes, and I can put my hand up for this, in the past, maybe I wasn't enjoying life, and yet I was so on the treadmill, I had no idea. It was like, well, these are the expectations and this is what I'm doing. But how, was there laughter in my life? Was I bringing joy not only to myself but to other people? Because that's something that we can do when we're feeling a little down or maybe lost. What is it that I would like to do? And sometimes by reaching out to someone else, we're lifting our own vibration as well as making a difference to someone else.
Yes. And it's different for everybody. It's, everyone's joy factor or joyometer is different.
That's a good word.
Yeah, I just made that up. It just came. Hello. I'm going to write
Joyometer. I like it.
write that down. So see the inspiration that comes when I'm with you, Annette? That's the inspiration that comes when I'm with you. But really, there's always something that you can do to make you happy. You've just got to take the time to do that. And, and many, many years ago, I was the same. I wasn't happy either, but it's because I was doing for others and not really doing what I wanted to do. And, it might've been a book that I read. It might've been something that I heard like this, where, someone said something similar, and then the light bulb went on and I'm like, wow, okay. Yeah. I've been disregarding me.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken my focus off me. And, some people think, well, if I put the focus on me, then I'm not focusing on others. No, you actually bring more to others when you do you.
Yes. And that's a biggie, because a lot of us were brought up that no. I have this conversation with my gorgeous mother all the time. She said, we were brought up to give to others. It's about others. Well, yes, it is about others. However, it has to be about me so that I can then serve others.
Yes. And oftentimes that kind of advice can sometimes come from the older generations, because they were brought up to be caregivers and not think of themselves and think of others, be selfless, right? But in actual fact, it's okay to be selfish enough to think about you so that you can be more for others and inspire others to do the same for themselves. And so it goes, and so it goes. But yeah, it's all of that. But yeah, just come back to your joy.
Oh, there are so many topics, aren't there, that come off this. However, it always comes back to how we feel about ourselves, and to keep that paramount. And for some of us, Chiara, that takes a little more training, a little more discipline, because we're so used to giving out rather than also including ourselves in that.
Yeah, it takes practice. And, with the work that we do, the power is in the repetition. So you have to repetitiously practice coming back to you. And, discovering what it is that you want. Because remember, what the topic of our conversation today is all about self-image. So you must, I call it, this is what I say every day. I'm so happy and grateful that I have a sovereign self-image. Sovereign. That's my word. Sovereign, opulence, queen, king, like a really powerful self-image, because we were all born for greatness. We are magnificent beings housed in a human body.
Mm-hmm.
We are more powerful than we think. And I just want people to really get that. That as you create the life that you want, coming from a really high level of self-image, then you get to make the biggest differences in the world, and you get to inspire others to be their best.
Well, you certainly inspire, Chiara. Thank you for giving us your time and your wisdom, your knowledge, and the fact that, yes, we all are here to learn, to grow, and to enjoy this experience.
Yes. Yes. I love your quote it's so true. You matter in the world. That's what it all leads to. You matter in the world.
Yes.
You matter. Everyone matters. You just got to get that yourself, your image.
Indeed.
Beautiful.
Well, everybody, I hope that we have been inspiring. It's onward and upward. Let's get on with our day and make a difference. So thank you, Chiara. Please,
Thank you so
everybody, reach out to Chiara if you are drawn to do so on Facebook. Reach out to Angel Heart Radio on Facebook. Reach out to myself on Facebook. Oh, there we are. Gratitude for Facebook as well as Angel Heart Radio.
Beautiful.
And gratitude for ourselves. Thank you, everybody. See you soon.